You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. According to Joe Cowley, Andre Drummond's on his way out. We're going to talk about a little bit about that. Who could replace Andre Drummond on top of that? Sam Smith also says that the Pistons could still be an option in a Zach LaVine trade. We'll talk about that. And then our top 3 draft prospects for the Chicago Bulls, as the draft is only 9 days away. We're going to get into all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, Pat, with that said, man, this one comes from Joe Cowley, Chicago Sun-Times, that Andre Drummond is expected to look at other teams in free agency. He also added in some stuff in there about DeMar DeRozan and potentially the Bulls going younger, which I think was kind of hidden in that article. That I would have thought that would have been the thing that people pulled out of the article and kind of focused more on. But Andre Drummond has been an important piece for the Chicago Bulls. Yeah. Only averaged 17 minutes last year for the Bulls, unfortunately, because we've seen it. When he played more minutes, he actually was more impactful. Had a really good run with the 3 games where Vooch was down. But ultimately, it seems like Andre Drummond is set out to get more money. He's played on the league minimum for the last 4 years of his career. This is a guy who's formerly signed $150 million contract at one point in his career, has been on vet minimum deal since then. And so he's deserved. I look at teams like the Philadelphia 76ers, who could be looking for a backup replacement of Joel Embiid and somebody who can step in when Joel Embiid naturally misses his about 10 to 12 games over the season. But what do you think about the potential of Andre Drummond leaving?
Listen, I think it's more than likely going to happen. The Bulls don't have enough money to bring him back on a bigger deal. There's teams out there that absolutely could utilize him. The first team that came to my mind was the Dallas Mavericks, honestly, because I look at how that team is built with big men who right now maybe aren't the best 3-point shooters or whatever. I saw Derek Lively knock down a 3. It looked fairly natural. I'm not going to lie to you. But with big men who aren't phenomenal 3-point shooters, you know that they've got 2 guys there in Luka and Kyrie who are going to be dominant in pick and roll game. That just opens things up for Andre Drummond. I really see that as an option. I love your Philly example there. We saw him in Philly. We saw how much, Joel Embiid was his most dominant that year, in my opinion, because he was getting literal 15 minutes of actual time stretches where he didn't have to be on the court because Andre Drummond was that good of a player when he was out there. So I think that, there's almost, to me, no chance, and there never was any chance in my mind that Andre Drummond was coming back to the Bulls this season on a vet minimum deal this season. Like, there's no way, because he's played too well. The reason that he did stay here, and I think a lot of people forget this, was, remember, he was going through some things mentally, and he liked how the Chicago Bulls handled his situation. It allowed him the flexibility of dealing with the things that he was going through mentally, and also, being on the court when he could, and he was very available during that time, and the Bulls were more willing to work with him, and he didn't want to leave that situation to go to someplace new that may not understand what he was going through. So I think that, the Bulls got an extra year out of Andre Drummond because of that situation. But I was surprised when Drummond re-signed last season. I really was. I didn't think that here was the play, because we had the same conversation last year. This is a guy who can go out and absolutely get more money. At a certain point, you do have to go out and get the money and put yourself in a winning situation. I think this is just another player that we're going to see walk out the door who all of a sudden people are like, yo, this dude really can play. Like, why wasn't he getting more time in Chicago? And we'll be sitting here watching,
So sound like somebody named Derrick Jones Jr.?
Oh, man. I was thinking more of a guy named Daniel Gafford, but, take your pick.
Listen, maybe a guy like Larry Markkinen.
Wow. There's options out there. Maybe a guy like Chris. All right, I went too far.
That's you push. You took a little bit too far there. But And the thing is I respect Drum so much, man. And he has the right to do what he wants to do. I'm gonna throw a hypothetical at you, completely hypothetical meathead question here. Let's say the Chicago Bulls, because we know that they're strapped for cash right now. Yep. But if they do move Zach LaVine and maybe let DeMar DeRozan walk, they could have some money there. Even if the Bulls do draft a center in this draft, do you see maybe some reason to keep Andre Drummond around at that point if they do end up moving on, or do you think at that point just go all young, whatever it is? What do you think?
I don't think you keep him around just because, listen, I love Drum. I love the player that he is, but realistically speaking, you're not getting rid of Vooch. So Vooch is getting his minutes, right? If Vooch is on this team, that means that you have to find time for a young center to play. And that doesn't happen if Andre Drummond's on this team. The one thing that I think the Bulls have really fumbled the ball with throughout this entire process. And I know I'm not a Patrick Williams fan. I'm not a big Dalen Terry fan right now. There's a lot of players on this team that I'm not big fans of, but I can also say you put them in positions that they weren't expecting to come into when you're talking about, okay, I'm the number 4 overall pick. I'm definitely getting the shots. Oh, wait, we're signing 3 other players that are going to be ahead of me as far as getting shots and getting looks and different things like that. That's tough. Okay, I got to just figure this out. Oh, I'm the 18th overall pick. I'm definitely going to get ticked. Oh, I'm not going to get on the court at all.
I'm going to actually be the least played number 18 overall pick in NBA history.
Oh, well, you know,
we keep being on the wrong side of it. How much can one team be on the wrong side of history, bro? At some point.
We were on the right side too much. We built up too much good during the Jordan years, and now it's just like, yeah, man, you gotta 6 championships. You got to go at least 25 to 30 years of drought.
That's good. It seems like that's what we're gonna be. Yeah, unless you look. No, I think their time of great drowning is coming very shortly. I think it's coming.
It could be, but I mean, they went through what they have. They had like 5 years there where like they were trash after Kobe left, and then like LeBron showed up. Like
that's true.
They don't go through long droughts of bad play. Like if we being honest,
that's true. That is very true. I guess we'll see there. But question that I want to throw to you on this one as well. Does this make center a priority for you even more? Oh, no, forget that, because we'll talk about the draft later on. Adama Sanogo, do you feel comfortable about him potentially being a backup center if the Bulls do go a different position in the draft?
I do. I have a lot of confidence in Sanogo because I think he knows his game. And I think right to the question that you asked before, it's that he will finally get the opportunity to be on the right side of history, right? Because there's not a lot of options there. There's not a lot of people you can bring in with what the Bulls have unless they just absolutely let people go. So it does open up opportunities where, hey, your best case scenario, and I think Adama Sanogo showed in his time out there that, yeah, the NBA is a little bit faster, but I just know how to play my game. I know how to slow things down for me, and I know how to get my opportunities to make an impact on this game. I do think there's room for Adama Sanogo to get into this rotation, but you also have to look at if they do address big man in the draft, right? Like, does that push him further down the totem pole? You know what I mean? Like, I think it is tough to see kind of where they're going to go, and you do want more of an athletic big as your starting big, and maybe that's what opens this up, right? Maybe it's, we're looking toward the future completely, which I think AK should be. We know where Vooch is at right now. Is he still a 17 and 11 guy? Sure. But is he giving you the impact that you're looking for on the court every night? Probably not. So you need to look towards the future anyway. Go out and get your future big, try and work him into this rotation, and try and find time for Adama Sanogo to get in this rotation as well, because there's something about, listen, the Bulls seem to have this aversion to dudes that just do stuff really well. The two things Adama Sanogo does really well is rebound and put the ball back in.
And block shots.
Solid shot blocker as well.
Yeah. I mean, and those are things that the Bulls do. I mean, any team. And I'm somebody of the mind that I think a center that understands how to rebound, block shots, putbacks, and lobs. If you can do any 2 to 3 of those things that I mentioned, to me, there's always going to be a role for you. How big that role is, it depends on how good you are at that and other things. But I think there's always a role for big men like that.
You also got to you have to look at too, like we're saying backup role, right? If you get the right kind of big, right? If you get a Kyle Filipowski or something like that at 11, and he's a guy who can run the floor, stretch the floor, be on the move. I wouldn't be surprised to say, hey, we play this guy at the 4, we play Adama Sanago at the 5, vice versa,
Wait,
because
see,
you
you're
got
getting
that
too
shot
fancy.
block.
No, stop. Because now you're making too much sense to use
Oh, was that
size
2
correctly.
bigs? I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
apologize. We putting 2 bigs in the lineup. There's got to be a point guard in there, power forward.
Somewhere Billy Donovan just started laughing because you said that, and we know how terrifying that is. So
that was a terrifying laugh from Billy.
Bro, that was one of the. It wasn't just the laugh itself was crazy, but also the fact that it looked like it pained him to laugh at the same time. It was like, hey, this is scary, bro.
It burned him a little bit. Yeah,
like it's a little crazy there.
But some pain there.
Let us know what you guys think about Andre Drummond potentially moving on. What do you think the Bulls should do with the center position? Are you confident in Adama Sanogo maybe being a backup big for the Bulls next season? Let us know all that down below. Next up, though, we're going to be talking about the Pistons still reportedly being an option for the Chicago Bulls, according to Sam Smith. But before we get into that, we do got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for small businesses, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and may not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process even easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, Pat. The Pistons, man. According to Sam Smith in his mailbag, he reported that the Pistons could very well still be an option for Zach LaVine. I'm going to throw this one to you, Pat, because the Pistons have gone under a GM change. And while the former GM was seemingly close to a Zach LaVine trade, we already know the reasons. The Pistons aren't a free agent destination. They're not getting any big-time free agents in there, so maybe they look at Zach LaVine as to be a trade version of that. But do you think the new GM is going to pick up where the old one left off at in a Zach LaVine type move?
I don't think you have a choice, right? At the end of the day, you still got to make some business moves. You got to find a way to get people in the seats. And here's the difference with trying to acquire a player here. You have to find a team that's also in a desperate situation. The Chicago Bulls are also in a desperate situation to where, yeah, they have to make a move to try and get Zach LaVine out of here.
Zach LaVine?
That's nuts.
That's
absolutely insane. You got to find a way to get Zach LaVine out of here. And because of the situation that they've created here, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a trade to Detroit for that reason, because they're looking for veteran players. They're looking for a veteran presence on that team. You've already got young pieces that you do have confidence in. Cade is a phenomenal player. I'd love to see Cade and Zach LaVine paired up together. You also have Jalen Duren on that team, a year older and you know, kind of figuring some things out for himself as well. They've also got young players that the Bulls would be willing to take back in a deal, like a Jaden Ivey. So I think that it's the one situation where both teams come out of it, maybe not in a perfect world, but in a best case scenario world, because I would say a team at least starting the season, now you got to get some wins, but a team starting the season with Zach LaVine, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, you're probably putting some butts in the seats there. And right, can you maybe get a little bit out of Zach LaVine, a quarter of what you got out of that Monty Williams magic that he was able to do when he was out in Phoenix with Devin Booker, having a point guard with a Zach LaVine and being able to turn him into kind of that next level of player. I'd be actually more worried that Zach LaVine would actually thrive in Detroit, seeing as how many 50.
Then we got to face him 4 times a year.
And we got to face him 4 times a year. Like, out of all the deals where it's like, are we going to get rid of him? He's going to be cold. I could actually see that working out for the Pistons.
Yeah, I mean, I can also see working out for the Bulls in a lot of ways as well. Let me ask you this, and this is a hypothetical trade that I've seen out there. This is not me necessarily just pushing this, but if adding Alex Caruso to that package gets you the number 5 and Jaden Ivey, do you do it?
No, because I still believe that sending Alex Caruso to a team like Houston could get you the number 3. Like I don't.
What if
think
it doesn't?
I mean, if it doesn't, then yeah, let's revisit.
We'll never know, right? It's not
right,
like,
yeah,
I'm just saying. So let's say it's announced draft day. Zach LaVine, Alex Caruso to Pistons for Jaden Ivey, the number 5 overall. What's your initial take on that?
The Pistons won that trade. Okay. The Pistons got 2. Now, Zach LaVine, whether he's healthy or not, that's a very different situation. But just getting Alex Caruso on that team to steady a young Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, who's already a nice defensive piece for that team. Like the Pistons, to me, would have won that trade. But I'm expecting the Bulls to lose this trade.
Oh yeah, I've said it before. I've been preparing everybody. Bulls fans, the majority of them are going to be pissed about this Zach LaVine trade. I just know.
If the Utah scenario came through, I would not be mad.
What's the Utah scenario?
The Utah of John Collins, Colin Sexton.
That's still a loss of the trade, bro. I'm sorry.
To me, it's not because you actually
of course, you thought Colin Sexton and Donovan Mitchell were the same player a year ago. So I can understand
25 points a game. You know what I'm saying? Young bull. He was healthy. I'm just saying. That's not a loss to me because you're getting rid of a player who basically didn't do anything on the court for you the last couple of years for 2 players who, they're not phenomenal. They're not the greatest players in the league right now, but they're 2 solid role playing pieces, and one of them is a big man.
Until Billy Donovan's operated him only as center, and it's like, Billy, you're doing it again, bro. Like you got a legitimate power forward in here, bro. Like
I could see him throwing him in there straight up as a center, but again, listen, but still a step in the right direction.
Is it though?
It's still a step in the right direction. We're getting there. He's at least tall. That's the goal.
Is John Collins 6'9"?
I want to say 6'10", right? With like a 7-something wingspan.
I don't know if he's 6'11". Oh no, 6'9" with a 6'11" wingspan. That's not bad.
That's not bad. That's right direction. That's the right direction.
Right direction. That's a fair estimation there. And to me, to answer the own question that I threw to you, I would much rather, and maybe I end up being wrong in this, but if you have to attach Alex Caruso to the Zach LaVine trade to get it done, they better be giving you not only a pick in this draft, but I could take a protected pick next year as well. Because because to me, if you trade Alex Caruso at the trade deadline and you get let's say a top 10 protected pick next year, drafting between 12 and 15 is like getting the top 5 picks in this draft next year with how deep next year's draft is. Listen, so I kind of would more prioritize getting a 2025 pick for Alex Caruso than one in this draft. Unless, like I said before, if the Bulls get it right, then shout out. If they come away with this draft with 2 players that end up being stars in what was labeled a weak draft, everybody got to correct everything they've ever said wrong about AK because he's done it again. But you got to show me before I ever believe that.
Well, I think what it would be is you would just say, okay, he's going to take his time with the entire process, which is really what I think. I think he moves.
That's what they were talking about doing when he came in here.
I know, but but now, right? He's taking his time with a team that we're like, hey, this team been bad like for 3 years now.
That's like starting the wedding reception off with Lil Jon. You got to work your way up to Lil Jon. You can't start right off with Lil Jon at the wedding reception. You got to work your way up to that, man.
See, I think we basically were like, going straight into juvenile, straight away.
Damn. That's
hey, the reception just started. We want to see something shake. Like, wait a minute. Hold on. What's grandma doing on the floor? Get out of here. What's happening? Please. Please. Not juvenile. We just got here.
If you here for 99 and 2000s to start off a wedding reception, hey, it better be the most lit wedding reception ever, bro.
Hey, listen. Hey, you gotta hope that you a guest. That's the thing. You don't want to be related to none of these people. Yeah, I mean, I've been at the event with a 99 and 2000 start, and all your cousins run to the floor.
That's something that if Sexy Red ever gets married, that's what they starting off with.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Matter of fact, that's what they playing when she walked down the aisle.
They probably playing her song. What's the I'm in the town fucking with my rounds. All right, let me do this ad read real quick. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, man. Before we finish this thing out with our top 3 draft prospects that we see the Chicago Bulls possibly coming away with. We do have to tell you guys about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action. While you watch your favorite sports and players, all you got to do is pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. That's right. With PrizePicks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can go make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to go pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and you're locked in. If you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stat projections on Tuesdays, with increasing your chances to get a win, to win your entry fee back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. A ton of options for you. And of course, with the NBA Finals and the WNBA cracking right now, you can get names like Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Jason Tatum, all together. Let's see if we can get some money made over on PrizePicks. All you got to do right now is download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Imagine being the head of like marketing, and you're going to listen to your ad read on Locked On Bulls, and you found out that your ad read immediately follows Juvenile Back It Up Talk at a wedding reception.
Oh man, listen, and Sexy Red. Listen, we keep making money, so they got to be making money. That's all I know.
Hey, listen, that's it.
We followed it. We've led with worse.
We've led with
worse. Yeah.
That's an absolute fact. Before we get out of here, Pat, today we want to go over our top 3 draft prospects for the Chicago Bulls. You want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we keep talking about the Bulls trading up. There seems to continue to be interest in the Bulls trading up. I know I'm higher on this player than you are, but if you could find some way to go out there and get Donovan Clingan, and yes, a trade up scenario, that'd be #1 on my board. I think you do have to go a little bit higher probably than most to get him, because I think the teams will be going after him. I think Portland's probably in a situation where they lay in the weeds, but my #1 pick on my board right now is Donovan Clingan, because there does seem to be an interest around the Bulls in acquiring a big man that's going to be a rim protector, which Billy Donovan's got to be losing his mind at, just screaming like Kendrick Lamar in the locker room. But I think that
I hate the way you draft, hate the way you sign.
Did I got that up?
That is hilarious. Oh man,
that'd be my #1 though. That'd be Clingan, my #1 on my board right now.
All right, who's your #2?
#2 right now for me, again, a tough one if he gets to the Bulls. But I think that there's more of a chance of him getting there than Donovan Clingan. #2 right now is Dalton Connect. Y'all know how I feel about him. Listen, the Bulls have problems with shooting the ball. Like, get a shooter. Get a guy who, to me,
he's more than just a shooter. I've been looking. I think he can be I won't say 3-level scorer, because to me, to be a 3-level scorer, you got to be able to like be more crafty getting to the rim. But he can definitely be mid-range. And I mean, it's not like he can't finish around the rim. You need a point guard to get him to the rim. He ain't crossing nobody up to get to the rim.
Exactly. He's a little. The only thing about Dalton Connect is I wonder about, like, I don't know if he has NBA speed. His shot is NBA speed, but like running up and down the court, I think he gonna get cut off a lot if he's trying to like work his way to the bucket. But I mean, those are things that can grow as you get stronger. You get stronger, you get faster, right? Work on your legs and get yourself, it puts yourself in a position where you can take that contact, go into the bucket. Maybe he does. He's got a nice touch around the rim.
Yeah.
Hey, yo. And that little turnaround fade shot, not bad. I think that's something that would interest me in this game. So Dalton Connect right now is #2 on my board. May still have to move up to get him a little bit, but I don't know. He's in that range.
He may be right there, number. He may be right there, number.
I'm not gonna lie, because I do think you have to trade up to get Donovan Clingan. If Dalton Connect's there at 11, the Bulls came away with a good pick to me. I'd be very excited. And then #3 for me, I think is still Kyle Filipowski. He addresses the need of being a big man. I think he gets moved around a little bit, but you can muscle up in the league. I've seen guys get stronger almost every season. So I'm not worried about that. He has the touch on the 3-point line. He can find his way to the rim. He can take it off of the rim and push the basketball forward. Like, I think there's a lot that he adds to a team that you want to start moving. That's the other thing about these three players. They all can run. Like, we got to start getting faster. And if you're going to have the trailer in your lineup be your center, at least have it be a guy like Kyle Filipowski, who is like, oh, well, he's trailing. I can kick the ball back to him, and he can actually knock the three down.
I like that. I like all three of those picks. Mine are all different, though, which is the thing is the first time we don't overlap any. My number one is Khalil Ware. Everything that when you look at him, that you want from a modern center, except passing. He's not a good passer, but the athleticism, the shot blocking, the lob threat, the running the floor. We talk about getting out in transition, the 3-point shooting. And I love that he's somebody who can hit the three ball effectively, but he's not trying to be out there taking threes. He shot at 42.5% clip, but he only took a little over 2, I think, per game. Again, he's not trying to be out there shooting a bunch of threes on you, but you talked about as a trailer, he can do that, right? And if you leave him open on a pick and pop situation, I trust him to be able to do that. The motor concerns that initially plagued him in this draft process have seemed to almost completely go away in the private workouts. So that isn't the biggest thing. The biggest kind of thing that they're worried about with him, it seems like now, is his inability to pass. And in a league where you're seeing more and more centers that can pass, he doesn't bring that at all, but the physicality, being able to finish around the rim, the shot blocking, the weak side defense, he's really good at identifying, using his length with that wingspan. I think he has the second longest wingspan in the draft at almost 7'5". So I like Khalil Ware a lot in this draft. He's a guy that I've always liked, but I'm way more high on him even what I was at the start of this process. Him and Kyle Filipowski have basically changed roles. Like Filipowski coming into this draft process is one of my favorite prospects. I still like him, but I think Khalil Ware has passed him a little bit for me. And then the next two guys are very high upside guys, Tajon Saloon and Mattis Bucilis, much for the same reason each of them. They each have point forward type ceilings with it. They each have shown a little bit of 3-point shooting over the course of their career as well, but they are defense, rebounding, and nothing but heart and effort. And those guys that when you talk about a more modern play style, I think that they can do that. And I think that one of those two guys are probably going to be, if anybody turns out to be a star in this draft, I think it's going to be one of those two guys.
Matisse Buzilis is a very interesting one because he brings so much to the table as far as on both sides of the floor. Like you that's the one thing, right? Like there's a lot of, to me, when I look through this draft, a lot of specialists. Like even with Dalton Knecht, right? Dalton Knecht can defend, but I'm not looking out there and being
off-ball
like, hey.
defense is really he's aware of, and I guess when you can't do on-ball defense, if you can keep the ball from getting to the man you're guarding, that helps a lot too, so you don't get cooked.
He'll be one of those dudes like a James Harden type of defender, right? Like James Harden never was a good defender, but he always led the NBA in steals. And you would just be like, how does this dude like keep leading? He'll be a dude that plays the passing lanes, and we'll be excited about him for that. But Matisse Buzilis, to me, like he's a guy who he brings it on both sides every night. I like how he attacks the rim as well. I like his ability on the defensive end to be able to switch. And like you said with Khalil Ware, the lack of passing that we see from Khalil Ware, he brings that. So. I wouldn't be mad at either one of those.
By the way, you see our boy, he went from last week. He was in the consensus mock, which it averages out the totals. He was averages being around the 45th, 46th pick. He's now averaging in most mocks to go in the first round. Lowest is 30.
Who?
Terrence Shannon Jr. He's rising up. He's rising up these mocks, boy.
Yeah.
He's rising up the mocks.
My draft day, I'm telling you, he's top 10.
Top. I would say top 15, maybe right out. Like I think if he's not there, I could see whatever that first team out the lottery being. Oh yeah, just Terrence Shannon Jr. put the pick.
I think just because of I think if Topic didn't mess his knee up, or if it didn't come out that his knee was messed up, Terrence Shannon would probably stay in the 15 to 20 range. But I think because of Topic messing his knee up, I really think because the Spurs, I believe, have two.
I think they're still going to take Topic. I think the Spurs are still going to take Topic at number 4.
Well, they have a better medical staff that kind of. I don't know. Spurs
I don't see, for example, and I could be completely wrong in this. I don't see TSJ getting past 15 or 16, and here's why. The two teams that pick at 15 and 16, is Miami Heat at number 15. Terrence Shannon Jr. is absolutely a type of player 100%. That they take. And then the Philadelphia 76ers at number 16, if they keep that pick, because they're going to need so much talent on that roster, I can absolutely see them taking Terrence Shannon Jr. too.
I mean, listen, if he's, I hope that he does rise to 15 or 16. I know we need the big man help, but like, I still think he's the best player in this draft outside of your top two. Like, I still think he's one of the best players you're going to get out of this draft. So I would not be mad at the Bulls taking him 11. The part that would piss me off is when he starts playing center. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. TSJ, let's see what your post game's like.
You guys can follow me at CEO. Has had a joke for that, but God looked at me and was like, "Don't you do it." So I shut up. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, this has been Locked On Bulls. We out here, y'all. Peace.